Welcome to The Explainer. We're going to jump right in today and break down a new theory that's making some serious waves in royal circles. We're talking about a potential crisis that could pit brother against brother, right on their home turf.
All right, so let's get right to the heart of it. The big question some sources are asking is, are we watching the beginning of a kind of royal civil war, between Prince William, the heir to the throne, and his brother, Prince Harry?
So, the core of this whole thing is a pretty explosive claim from royal watchers. The idea is that Harry isn't just, looking for a safe spot to visit the UK. No, the allegation is way bigger. They're saying he's planning to set up a whole competing power base, basically creating a kind of shadow monarchy right under his brother's nose.
Okay, so you're probably thinking, how could something like that even be possible?
Well, according to this theory, the whole thing hangs on one single crucial development, and it has everything to do with Prince Harry's security when he's in the UK.
So, just to recap, right? Harry lost his automatic police protection back in 2020. He fought a long legal battle over it and lost. But now, all of a sudden, the tables have completely turned. Sources are saying that after some serious lobbying, his whole case is being looked at again. And the commentators, they're saying, hey, this isn't just about bodyguards. They see it as the very first step in a much, much bigger game plan.
So who's actually making this call? This is the interesting part. It's not the royal family. The power lies with a special Home Office committee called RAVIC. And get this, they're looking at the threat level against Harry for the first time in almost 6 years. We could get a decision, believe it or not, as soon as next month.
And here's the kicker. If RAVIC gives him the green light, that main obstacle he's always talked about, the reason he said he couldn't bring his family over, it's just gone. But insiders are saying this is so much more than just family holidays. This is the key that opens the door for him to operate professionally in the UK. He'd have what looks like government approval, but without any of the oversight from Buckingham Palace. A game changer.
Okay, so if getting security is the key, what's the door it's supposed to unlock? Well, this is where we get into the whole theory of a rival court. What does that even mean? What would it actually look like?
Well, commentators like Tom Sykes and Dan Wooten are pretty clear. They don't think this is just a series of happy accidents. They're calling it a deliberate, calculated plan. The end goal? To build a totally separate center of royal influence that runs parallel to the official one run by his brother.
And when you put them side by side, the difference is pretty stark, right? You've got William's court, very formal, very traditional, tied up in all the constitutional rules at Kensington Palace. And then you'd have Harry's setup. Nimble, focused on his own brand of advocacy and charity work. He'd be totally free to speak out on controversial stuff, positioning himself as the action prince, while William is the more buttoned-up heir.
But hold on, because this is where the theory takes a wild turn. What if King Charles isn't just watching all this happen from the sidelines? What if he's actually involved? This is probably the single most jaw-dropping part of the whole theory. The thinking goes like this. There's just no way the Home Office would do such a major U-turn without getting the okay from the king himself. It's led some commentators to say that Charles is the one secretly pulling the strings. But why? Why would he do that? Well, the theory is that it's a calculated strategic move, a way to kind of counterbalance the huge popularity of William and Catherine. The thinking is, if Harry is back in the picture, making headlines in the UK, it splits the media's attention. It stops the Prince and Princess of Wales from completely stealing the show from the King and Queen. I mean, it's a huge gamble, right? It could completely backfire and alienate the next in line to the throne. And this isn't just some abstract theory. Insiders are saying we're already seeing it play out. It's turned into a full-blown global PR war, fought with anonymous leaks and clashing headlines.
You can see a perfect example of this over one weekend. So picture this. Catherine is hosting her big annual carol service at Westminster Abbey, a huge positive PR moment for her. Then, out of nowhere, a story drops that Meghan has reached out to her ailing father. Now, the timing, critics immediately said it was a deliberate move to steal Catherine's thunder. But then, just as quickly, the whole story fell apart.
And what came next was just a mess. A public briefing war erupted. Sources close to her dad came out and said, nope, no contact was made. Then Meghan's team apparently fired back, claiming they couldn't even reach him and accusing a media outlet of puppeteering him. The whole thing was just this chaotic scramble to control the story, and frankly, it didn't look good for anyone.
Even family members jumped into the fray. Meghan's own half-sister, Samantha Markle, didn't mince words. She called the whole thing public relations crap and said that if they were serious, they'd do something real, not just leak stories to the media.
Okay, so let's zoom out for a second. We've got the security decision, this whole rival court theory, and even the king possibly being involved. What does this all add up to? What's really at stake for the monarchy?
At the end of the day, it boils down to this: a total clash of visions. You have William, who's trying to modernize the monarchy and believes a united front is the only way forward. For him, a rival court is the absolute worst-case scenario. Then you have Harry, who thinks he can do royal duty, but on his own terms. And the king? If he is playing both sides, as the theory suggests, he's taking a massive risk of alienating his own successor, the one person he needs for the monarchy's future.
So it really feels like everything comes down to this one decision from that security committee, Ravik. If they approve Harry's security, that could be the first domino to fall. It would give him everything he needs, the logistics, the justification, and maybe even the quiet approval to turn this rival court theory into a very real thing.
Which leaves us with one last, pretty sobering question. For years, the monarchy has worried about threats from the outside world. But what if its biggest threat isn't out there at all? What if, as this whole theory suggests, the real danger is coming from within?